Welcome to the Savvy Surgical Technologist. I'm your host, John Budd. Welcome, everybody. And I'm excited to have you guys back. I'm excited to have you guys following the show. I hope that you're liking it, and I hope that you're subscribing to the page, to the show. And I hope that you guys will enjoy this upcoming segment as I'm bringing on a great friend, someone who I met on LinkedIn, which is always so surprising to me because when I met her on LinkedIn, it was out of the blue. I didn't even know that I was connected to her, and I seen a post, and it was so powerful to me. It was so moving that I actually DM'd her, and we started talking. It was so poignant and so powerful that I wasn't even sure she was a real person. I thought she might have been a bot. And so over time, we became really close, and she's such a powerful voice for advocacy and healthcare. And I'm happy and excited to have her on. And remember, at the end of the show, I'm going to take a question from a follower and um, try to bring you guys again back into my story and shine some light on some of the things that I went through in the course of my journey through healthcare and through life itself. So I'm excited to introduce Kimberly Maurer. Like I said, I met her on LinkedIn. Um, Sitting down with her today is very exciting for me because she's a voice for change in healthcare, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say. And I'm sure that she's going to shine a lot of lights on to you guys on what's going on, the real of what's going on inside of healthcare in terms of advocacy and trying to make what we do better. Hi, Kim.
Good morning. Actually, I should say good afternoon. It's been quite a powerful journey for sure, for sure. And, when you popped into my DM that one time, I was like, who's this guy? And I was so intrigued by your mission, and Sheila's House of Style being, and a legacy for your mom. That speaks such volume to who you are, how you lead with intention, how you are so integrated in the, how do I want to say this? The purpose that you have, the love and passion that you have for people and for helping people. It you're so charismatic and it just radiates off you. So, in our first conversations with one another, that's what drew me into you. That's what I was like, huh, who is this guy? I like it. I like it. And and talking with you more and more and seeing what you were doing for the people in Philadelphia and for the food banks and for feeding people, with what you were selling, that speaks volumes because it's so rare, John. It's so rare that people are out there doing what you're doing and can pour back into the world, because isn't that the goal of all of us? We're trying to save the world per se, and and how we do things, how we portray things, how we move in this world, because it's so forever changing. Nothing stays the same very long. And healthcare, especially, you being a surgical technologist, I did that role for many, many years. And I loved that. And the surgery room and the OR suites are totally different. And if you've never worked in one, you probably don't have a clue what we're talking about. But it's a whole different being. Those people that are in those ORs, it's a whole different skill set. It's a whole different level of understanding, what needs to happen and what happens in there and how quickly things can change and how quickly it can go from good to bad or just be an amazing case. So I learned so much in those ORs. And, I did everything from general surgery to, so I've done nephrology, I've done neurology, I've done orthopedics, I've done, you know, OB. I've done all of it and I learned so much. And my mentors in there were so amazing. So amazing. Here's this girl coming from OB, who's done C-sections and hysterectomies and those kinds of things to learning, so much. Oh my God, I would have to say probably my time with Dr. Rao and Dr. Kotesha in neurology was like the most amazing experience ever. And then, I love general surgery too. General surgery was amazing. And the first time I saw, just something more than a uterus and, the bowel for God's
Yeah.
sake. Seeing
Yes.
a gallbladder and a liver for the first time, and oh my God, the lungs, and so
Yes.
exciting, so exciting. So
Hmm.
yeah, so again, so I'm Kimberly Maurer. I've been in healthcare 36 years. I've been a nurse 29 years, and I've done everything from obstetrics to hospice. I have now begun, let's see, started back, I want to say July, August. I decided to start my own business. So I started Unapologetically You Collective. So I'm coaching, mentoring people who are transitioning, pivoting, who are deciding, do I stay or do I go? Because healthcare has changed so much and it's evolving so quickly with AI and technology and trying to integrate so much into the system. But I think so quickly we have forgotten how to be human. We've forgotten how to be kind. And that I'm not blaming that on technology. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, as a whole, we're so worried about competing with one another and stepping on one another instead of looking to the left, looking to the right, and bringing everybody with you. And
Mm.
if you follow me on LinkedIn, I talk so much about hierarchy and co-hosting the podcast with Dina Paolani and the hierarchy betrayal. We just did episode 8. Episode 9 will be live. We do lives on Sunday, and we're bringing Mark Carter, the founder of the Nurse Collective and Mock Health. So it should be exciting episode as well. But again, and advocating for one another. We have to stand up for one another. We have to protect one another because
Yeah.
that's who we're with every single day, and
Yeah.
it's so much of just being kind to one another because we don't take care of ourselves well enough, first off. Because what do? We just keep pouring and just keep pouring and keep picking up shifts because everybody's trying to survive. But I feel like
Yes.
we're no longer thriving in this environment. And
Yes. I agree.
and
I
how do we do that? How do we learn to thrive again instead of just
hmm.
survive?
Yeah. That's powerful because um, a lot of us, it seems to be a culture of selfishness, but not in a selfish way where it's good for people. Like everybody's trying to outdo everybody else, or the technology is getting in the way of personal interactions and stuff like that. And we're losing stuff in translation in terms of teamwork and how the team flows and stuff like that, which is a problem. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is just to have you pour some insight into why you think that is, and just talk about your advocacy and how we can make management and the higher up, per se, realize that our system is fractured. And again, it's not a bad session. It's just a session to say, how can we get better? How can we move healthcare forward in a way that's conducive to healthy outcomes, not only for the patients, but for ourselves? So, that's a powerful start. And I appreciate your intake on all of that. Anything else?
Yeah, yeah, as far as trying to get leadership to realize that this is global. It's not just the States. It's global. And it's something that we're experiencing all around the world, where the system is just fractured. It's broken, and like we were talking in the podcast earlier this morning, that we've forgotten where we've come from. We've
Mm.
forgotten why we're doing what we're doing and the why. I think so many people have forgotten why they do this, why they stay, why they leave. And who are we protecting anymore? If we're not protecting the patients, if we're not protecting one another, we're protecting the business. And the business is bigger than a business. It's the people.
Yes.
Because you cannot have a business, a healthy, living, thriving business, if the people inside of it are dying. If the people inside of it are just fed up, they're done. They can't do this anymore. And we talk so much about silence, and nobody feels like they have a voice anymore because you're just handcuffed. You're handcuffed and thinking, well, I can't say anything because I'll lose my job. I can't say anything because then have a target on my back. I can't speak up or say anything because then I'm shamed or there's repercussions. And where did we lose that protective coating? Why do we have to wear armor every single day? Why do we have to wear a mask every single day? And you go from room to room and you change masks. You drop a suitcase, you pick up another one when you go to the next room, right? So we're constantly carrying suitcases around. We're carrying all of that trauma. We're carrying all of that moral injury. We're carrying all of that fatigue with us everywhere we go. And I've said this 100 times in other podcasts and interviews that I've been in. When can we finally stop carrying a suitcase around? When do
Mm,
we finally start feeling psychologically safe to
mm.
speak up? Because, you know, there's signage everywhere. See something, say something. See something, say something. But
Yeah.
yet we're hushed. We're lips are sealed because you don't want to risk losing everything because it is so hard to get a job anymore. You come in with all of this experience, but there's so much bias, whether it be age bias. I'm going to be 54 years old, but I bring 36 years of experience and knowledge to my to
Hmm.
my role. And so many times it's I don't know if it's a molding thing. It's we'd rather have new grads because we can mold them and have them shaped into how we want things run, or is it that yeah, but you're only going to be here maybe you got a good 5 years left. We want somebody that can be here for the long haul. And like we were talking earlier, it's
Mm.
like again, experience surpasses titles. Every single day. Every single day. And you have these people in the hierarchy that are competing and title jumping, title jumping. And what about the people that have been doing the role forever? What about the people that have the experience? And I've said it over and over. The knowledge that you get from having titles, bring that knowledge to your team. Share that knowledge. Don't use it as a clout. Don't use it as a look at me, look at me. It's more of a look at what now I can bring to the team. Look at
Mm.
now what I can educate the team. Because we are a team. We are a team, but for some reason, John, we have forgotten to be a team. It's
Agreed.
it's no longer, well, what's that saying? One for all and all for one, or however that
Yeah.
goes, right?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I just
Three
feel like
Musketeers.
Yeah, I just feel like it's not like that anymore. It's just it's me. It's what I can get out of this, what I can do to climb the ladder. Well, I'd like to
Hmm.
push that ladder right over.
Yeah.
I really
I
would.
agree. I agree. I agree because I'm huge on team. I'm a big believer in team. And I think, across the board, whether in life or in healthcare, no matter what, if we work as a team, outcomes are better. Outcomes are better as a team. And, some organizations just are fractured in the sense where, like you said, they're climbing ladders and stuff like that. And that's okay. It's okay for people to reach for more. But, I'm a firm believer in that you can't shit on people and while you're going up a ladder, because what's going to happen is you're going to alienate people, and over time people aren't going to want to work for you, and you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the person that people fight for and say, hey, I know that this person, if you're a true leader, then I want to work for you. I want to do things to help you succeed because you helping me succeed as well. And ultimately what we want to do is have great outcomes with our patients. We can't have that. We cannot have that on a consistent basis if our team is fractured and beat up. So, if our leaderships aren't leading, then we're not going to get to where we want to go, and our patient outcomes aren't going to be what we want. A lot of times people always talk about patients, and then they do things that's contrary to the health of the patient. So, I think leadership and teamwork is very, very important. And I'm glad that you brought all that stuff up, because what it brings me to my question for you is like, what drives your passion for advocacy? Like, what you want to see real change in healthcare. So, why is that your mission? Why is it so important to you?
Just because it's the only way that we can thrive. It's the only way that healthcare is going to survive. And it's not just big business. We're talking people. We're talking
Mm.
people's lives. You know, we are talking more than just the metrics and the money. It's not about just the money. You know, we understand that it's a business. We get that. But if the people inside the business don't feel safe and they don't feel protected, they don't feel that they belong, that they're just a number, it's not a successful business. And I always have felt that if you are only as good as your employees, because if your employees want to be there, if your employees feel that they are valued and taken care of, they don't leave. They stay. They stay and they give you better. I want to say, I don't want to say they give you better. They have more work ethic. They have better.
Commitments. Like they're
Yeah,
committed more,
yeah,
you
they're
know?
committed to it. They're committed to you because they're coming to work happy. They're happy to be there. I mean, like, isn't
Yes.
that the biggest thing? Is like you want to be happy, and it's like, oh, I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. You know? And how and
Yes.
how many people can say that anymore? I love my job. I love being a nurse. I absolutely love being a nurse. I love taking care of people, and I know why I got into this profession into the first place. And I feel so many other people, they know why they got into it. But because of all of the dismissal and the betrayal and the hierarchy, it's just, eh, that God, I can go
Yeah.
do something else. I'm done. I'm gonna go do something else. And you see so many in nursing are now becoming entrepreneurs. They're becoming coaches. They're becoming mentors. They're trying to help people navigate such a broken system. But we all
Mhm.
see what's broken. You see it from your lens. I see it from my lens, and we all see it. So how do we fix it?
That's the question, right? So how do we fix it? Personal responsibility is very important. But again, I think a lot of stuff comes down to who's leading. Who's leading? Because like every great team has a great leader, right? They have somebody that you will run through walls for. And over time, how are we nurturing the future leaders? So if I'm a leader, right, I can't be, I don't go through life feeling like I'm a leader, although I feel like I am. What I mean by that is if I'm talking to somebody, if I'm teaching somebody in the OR, I'm not teaching them for me. I'm teaching them so in the future they'll be leaders. So that one day they'll teach somebody and give somebody that good to help them increase their potential and to change the trajectory of their life. So leadership holds people up. A lot of the times we don't even know these leaders. And of course, a lot of us work in massive systems or whatever. But, one of the things I always say and one of the things I believe in is, you'll go through a hospital lobby and they'll have an event for outside vendors and all that type of stuff where vendors come in and selling their wares like hats, jackets, and stuff like that. And it's okay. It's nice that the community has, but those people in leadership who put those type of things together have never come onto the floors and say, "What do you do? Let's put you in the lobby. Let's put you out in front. Let your store be out there. You sell cakes? Okay, let's sell cakes to the people who come in. Let's highlight you." They
Mhm.
don't do that. They don't uplift us in a way where we're saying we're encouraged to do our sideline things, the things that's important to us.
Mhm.
Instead, they'll invite people in, and again, that's fine. But you should be scouring your hallway, saying, "Man, this person is so powerful. Let's put them out in front. Let them be let the people see them, because they're not only representing us, we're allowing them to represent themselves. That's team building. That's leadership. These
Right.
hospitals don't put you out in front. You know how many times I see a surgeon on LinkedIn. He's worthy of the appraisal, the praise and stuff like that. He's worthy of the fact that he did some cutting edge surgery, and I get that. But his team helped him. But you won't see his team. He won't talk about his team. He won't talk about the person who set the room up or the person downstairs who got all the equipment, all the instruments sterilized in a way that's conducive to healthy results. We need to highlight everybody that's in healthcare to make them feel included, to make it feel inclusive. That's what I call leadership. You know what I'm saying? Like you did some great neurosurgery case, but you won't talk about the tech or the nurse in that room who consistently come through for you to make your outcomes better. We need to shine lights on that type of stuff. We need to shine lights on the fact that we are personal people and we have things that we like to explore too. And the hospitals or the institutions that we work in should be fostering that. That way, that gives me more of a commitment because I know that, man, they care about me too. They care about me as a person. They care about the things like Schiller's House of Style or whatever. And I'm not saying this stuff to advocate that I'll be in some lobby. I'm just saying that we have so many talented people who are more talented in their personal life than they are even on the floor. So let's highlight them. Let's build that team like that. And that'll give those people some more vigor to go in there and touch lives in terms of patient care. And that really leads me to my next question to you.
Can I touch on that, John, really quick?
Yes, absolutely.
So, we talk about solutions and how can we fix what's broken. And we always say, get a nurse to do it. Ask a nurse. Ask a nurse.
Yes.
You have amazing, amazing people within the system already. If you invited them to the table instead of hiring consultants at, millions and millions of dollars, look within, like you're just saying right now. If we look within and bring those people to the table, you have all the answers right inside. All the answers are right beside you. All the answers are right in front of you. Because you have to go to the people that are working in the trenches. You have to bring those voices to the table to say, hey, and they should feel safe enough to say, hey, this is fucked up and this needs to be fixed.
Yes.
This is what's wrong. This is what's not working. If you come to us and you ask us what's wrong, what's not working, what would work better, you would be shocked. You'd save millions. You'd save millions because all of the answers are right in front of you.
It's right in your house. It's like you're calling outside the house to find the answers that's in your house. Like when we come in, we get these new ORs and stuff, and we go into the new ORs, and it's like, who designed this? How come they never talk to us about how to design? We're the ones who live these rooms every single day. They're not interactive enough. They're interactive technology-wise, but they're not interactive, conducive to a nice flow of a case or something like that because they never talk to the people who actually work in those rooms. So that's absolutely powerful what you just said because it seems that the people who can make the biggest difference are the ones that's being ignored. Come sit down, and they do all these press gaining things and all that stuff to get feedback on certain things. And but they never do press gainies or not even, it don't even have to be press gaining. They never just come and talk to somebody and say, how should we make this run? Or how do our flow look and how can we make it better? How can we make it a safer environment, not just for the patient, but for you? How can you come in and how can we make it so you could come to work and feel like you had an input in how the work flows and what we created there? A lot of us feel like we're outside of the scope of practice, meaning that we're practicing, but we're outside of all the decision making on how to practice.
We're outside looking in. We're outside looking in, but we should be actually inside looking out.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
like you said, you have these renovations and these new rooms and these new departments that, the architect doesn't match the workflow. The architecture is not conducive to what we do in this department, what we do in this room. And so many times it's like, oh, it looks good on paper. It looks good on the blueprint, but is it functionable? No.
Right.
I've seen it 100 times. It's like when we first got our whole department redone, it was like, okay, well, where are we going to put all of this? And how is this room going to be? How is this room, this OR, going to function when we have a code 2OB? It's not, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And now it's already all done, but you didn't ask any of us how we felt about this. what our ideas would be. How can we make this work better to where, like you said, it flows. It flows. They don't invite us to the table. Your
Yeah.
solutions. So the
Yeah.
solutions to all of the problems are in-house.
I
Bring your
agree.
to the table. The people that
I agree.
know how to fix it are in the trenches, not in the
Hmm.
boardroom. They're in the trenches. They're the ones that are doing this every single day. Come
Right.
to them.
It
And
makes you
these
question.
surveys, the surveys, John, those are such a crock of shit. Oh my God. You know, the surveys they send out that they never look at, or they do look at only if you said something negative, you know, because they're supposed to be anonymous. So the
Yes.
only time that I think they get looked at is like, oh, so and so said this. Well, let's call them in
Hmm.
the office today, you know, and then
Hmm.
there's repercussions because it's supposed to be anonymous, but honestly, it may be anonymous unless it's something that is so messed up that needs attention. And it's
Instead
something,
of,
yeah, something that they don't
right.
want to hear. Oh,
Yeah.
don't say that. You can't say that.
Right. And I think a lot of times, like, off, a lot of people are even afraid to fill out those surveys and stuff because they know, although it say it's anonymous, there's ways for them to find out
Hmm.
who said what, and and then they feel like it's repercussions coming down the pipe. When a lot of times when people are disgruntled, they're saying these things so they can make the environment better. So we have to take stuff at base value and say they're saying this for a reason. So let's
Right.
get to the bottom of why they're saying it. Let's fix it and let's create a culture of growth. And I don't understand the problem with that because over time that's going to save you money. It's going to, like you say, save turnover for people leaving because longevity means something. If you could keep your core group, if you could keep your staff, that means you're not wasting money retraining people. And of course, when you bring in younger people and you got better mentors, you got all of these things that's conducive to long-term better benefits, whether financially or patient outcomes. And all those things are great things. It's okay to have a profit. It's okay to make money and stuff like that. What's not okay is to burn your people out because you simply refuse to listen to what they have to say. Or when you do listen to what they say, you you
Hold it against
retaliate on them. You
you.
retaliate instead of saying, "Damn, this is poignant and this is powerful." And if we implement something what they say, or at least talk to them and work out maybe some kinks in some different areas, then we can make our institution better. And this is across all things. I think this stuff transcends just healthcare. This is business and life. Like if we have great teams, you have a better life. If I surround myself with positive people now, when I was growing through life, and it's not an indictment on my friends that I grew up with or whatever, because they were great too for those parts of my life and stuff. And I know that for, you know, when you reach for more, some people fall off because you have to get new people to come into your life. And that's everything, whether it's business or healthcare. You have to align yourself with positive, growth thinking people to get to the things that you want to get to. And a lot of times our institutions just refuse to uplift people who can make a difference in all of our lives in terms of like what our days look like. And that takes me to my next question for you. Can you share what experiences, good or bad, led you to the place where you felt called to speak up, like push for better conditions and fight for the people working and receiving the care inside of our institutions? Like, what made you? Was it something that happened? Was it good or bad? What happened to make you say, "I need to be a voice. I need to be an advocate. This is my calling."
I have to say, being in a leadership role, I was brought in for a leadership position, and they said their culture was broken and they needed change. So, of course, me coming in with as powerful as I am, and I don't mean that in a bad way or I'm all that.
Oh,
I'm just
you're awesome.
I have a different outlook when I see things, and I'm not afraid to speak up about it. And in that role, you know, I was, you're too powerful.
Wow.
We can't, yeah, no, it's too much. It's too much too quick. You need to do baby steps. No, really, I don't. Not when the staff is coming to me left and right and coming into my office. I've been here a week, coming into my office and saying, I really hope you can fix this. I really hope you can change the culture here. I really hope they listen to you. And well, it didn't take long for them to terminate me. And
Interesting.
again, I was noticing things. I was, documenting things. I was reaching out to staff. When staff would call in, I would be the one that would have to pick up their shift. I was just still learning my role, but yet I was having to learn their role because, the provider needed someone with them. And I was good with that because I got to know the people in the trenches. I got to know, and that's the thing, that people don't come out of the boardroom. They don't come out of their little offices. They don't get into the trenches. You have to get into the trenches with your people. You have to see what they're struggling with and how you can better things. Because until you do that, and you're listening to what they're saying, but you're not feeling what they're saying because you haven't lived it. Once you
Mm.
live it and you've been in that situation where you're like, okay, how are we going to make today work? We've had 2 call outs. Okay. All right. You did this, you did this. We'll come together, we'll make it work. And what do nurses always say? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be nice to not have to figure it out? You know what I mean? But if
Mm.
you're coming out of your office and you get into the trenches with your people, you get to know your people. You get to know their outside life. It doesn't have to be deep and nosy. It just means, okay, so I know I know her. She's a single mom. She doesn't have good daycare. She doesn't have a good support system. So if she calls out, I need to be a little bit more understanding with that, or
Mm.
I have to be flexible and maybe work with her schedule because maybe she can't work the weekends, but I know so and so does have good childcare. So let's not try and put her on the weekends when it's going to be a huge strain for her when so and so is happy to pick up weekends.
Wow.
I mean, it's just those little things of getting to know your people and
Yeah.
having those conversations that are tough and getting to understand the flow, the workflow. Again, it's if you can dress it up, you can make it all pretty if you want to. But if it doesn't flow and it's not functional and it's not safe practice, then what are you doing? What are we doing in this arena? What are we doing? So for me, it was advocating for them. It was advocating for them because I knew the system could be better. I knew it could be better. And it just took the work. And they don't want to put the work in. It just took the work and listening and stop being silencing everybody. Stop making it about just tasks. They only need to know how to do a task. They only need to know how to do a task. They don't need to know the why. Excuse me? They need to know the why. They absolutely need to know why we do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And again, so it was just pounding, pounding, pounding just to be supportive for my team. And
I
it's
love.
going to take them firing me for me to go because I wasn't giving up. As hard as it was and as toxic as that culture was, I wasn't going to give up on them girls. And I still
I,
talk to some of them to this day. And I will always advocate for my team. I will always advocate for my friends, my family, my colleagues, just because. And like you said, sometimes just talking to a stranger, just saying hi, how are you? How are you doing? And and I say that with true heart and complete belief that you can change the trajectory of someone's
yeah.
life completely just by
Yeah.
making them feel seen, just by
Mm.
saying, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
What can I do for you? Like you said earlier, and the manager and you guys are scrambling around and you see her peek in the window and then she goes by. But had she just opened the door and said, hey, are you guys okay? Is there anything I can get you? You look like you're running around like chickens with your head caught off in here. What can I do for you? And it would have
Mm-hmm.
changed that whole perspective and whole
Yep.
outlook of how you feel about her as a leader. So
Mm-hmm.
if leaders come out of their offices, I realize y'all have a lot of work to do. I get it. I've been there. I get it. There's a lot to do. It's meeting after meetings about meetings after meetings that never go anywhere. How many meetings do we have about the last meeting? Okay, well, that was dumb. that was a waste of my time. I could have done this, and this, and the amount of time that I had to sit in this meeting that didn't go anywhere. That was
Hmm.
just, and who's at the table? Who's at the table in that meeting? Not really the people that should be at the table. I had this
Right.
conversation today with my director of nursing, and I'm like talking about a patient because I do pediatric home care, and talking about a patient, and I'm like, he's like, well, we're going to have a meeting, with the staff or whatever. I'm like, are you having a meeting with the care team? Are you having a meeting with the people that are actually taking care of the patient and that are in the home, that are helping the family, that are seeing what's going on? Are you having a meeting with them? Well, no. I'm like, well, that's your first mistake. You need to bring all of us in. You need to have us at the table. And he's like,
Yes.
absolutely right. He was wonderful. He's like, you're absolutely right. And it only takes one flipping leader like that that says, you're right. We need to
Yeah.
do that. We need to do that. So he heard me. My voice was not silent today. He heard me. And that changes everything.
It can't be understated how essential and important it is to team morale, to be listened to and to be heard. You know, and it's amazing, like this, just listening to your story on why you started to advocate, getting fired and all that stuff. But look, like in my last time, and I always say that the links in our lives matter. And if we follow the links, we'll see why we are where we are today. And although what seemed to be a bad situation for you when you lost that position, it's led you to so many wonderful things, and your voice is now being spread all over the nation, and in fact, the world. Because where were we at? Australia today, or on the podcast? But so many, your voice is traveling across timelines and space. So what seemed to be a bad situation for you has led to something better for you, and now your voice is being heard even more. And like you say, leadership is important. How we peek into rooms, and if you're looking in, it's a difference between looking in and going in. A lot of people look in, but no, not very few go in. And when you go in, you stamp yourself as a leader who's willing to get their hands dirty and willing to do the things. And then, like I said in the earlier podcast that I was honored to be on, when if the leader goes into the room and give us the option of utilizing them or not utilizing them, it don't matter. They came into the room and we'll never forget that. Now we want to work a little bit harder for that person. Because what you could do when you look in the room and you walk away, we say, damn, she ain't even come in and try to help. But if she opened the door and say, hey, can I get you guys anything? We may tell her no, that we're fine. But everybody in that room will remember that she came in and asked to lend her hand. And then if we do take it to the next level and we do need her help and she go in there and she make it happen, now we looking at her like, oh, she knows what she's doing. Even if she don't know what she's doing, she's willing to help and secure what needs to be secured to make the outcome better. Now we have newfound respect for her. So, speaking of, just there's a difference between being a leader, a manager, and a leader. A manager will look and say, all right, I'm gonna tell them to do this, and this is what I want, and this is my expectations. A leader will go in there and make it happen. Well, a leader will show them the way. And once a leader does that and they put their stamp on things, people are more willing to work hard for them. And it's essential to growth. And in our business, healthcare, it's essential to patient outcomes.
You have to be
We could talk.
hands dirty. You got to be willing to get your hands dirty.
Yes, yes, and again, it's just showing that like you say, when somebody might call out. Like I love what you said about accommodating the young lady or anybody who's having healthcare, any kind of issues, healthcare issues, or um, daycare and stuff like that. Being mindful, like have a chart to say, well, she's a such and such and such and such, so these people as a person and not just as, oh, that's John, he's a drug tech. John moved 10,000 miles away from Philadelphia. Sometimes he gets homesick, so let's be a little more mindful of him. You know what I'm saying? Little things like that that will endear you to your staff. So have a list to say, okay, Tanya doesn't have the same kind of daycare as Michelle has, so maybe we can work them two together to maybe split up a shift or do something so it accommodates both and everybody is comfortable and happy and our patients' outcomes are better. Because now Michelle ain't in there worrying about who's picking her baby up. Now she
Right.
could take care of Miss Louise better.
Yep.
These things are
You
connected. Our
absolutely
links matter. So, and that
100%,
brings,
100%.
you know,
Look,
and I,
look right here. Look right here. You and I both can see that. How
yes,
obvious that is. So
yeah,
why is it that
because
people in leadership don't see the same thing? And
I think
it's so
because the
simple.
people, I think a big part of it is who's the leaders. Where is our leadership coming from? And again, I don't know all the dynamics of who's the hierarchies of these institutions, but I'm saying to myself, who are the leaders and where are they coming from? Are they coming from a business school or are they coming from the trenches where I work at? Are they coming from, like, did they elevate Michelle Garson, who's a great OR nurse, who should be the nurse manager because she's been in the trenches for years and she knows all the stats and she knows the ins and outs? But no, they elevated somebody else that's outside of the place. But Michelle wanted the job. The team wanted Michelle to get the job. So then we can go all the way up the ladder to the CEOs and all that stuff. People can't relate to us if they're not from us. So if I go into a business and they elevate me to CEO, but I don't know all the ins and outs, then it's incumbent upon me to go into that business trenches and say, hey, teach me everything. How can I run anything if I don't know what I'm doing? So if it's a CEO at any institution in America for our healthcare system who's never been on the med surge floor, who's never been to an ICU, who's never talked to an OR nurse, he can't lead me. He could possibly manage, but he can't be a proper leader. And that's where all the disconnect comes from. We just got a fractured system where people who don't know what's going on in real life, and when I say real life, I mean med surge, I mean the ICU, OB, labor and delivery. What are their challenges? The OR, CSR, supply chain. All of those things matter. You got a guy in there who's getting a $10 million bonus who never stepped foot in any of those areas.
Right.
No one respects that. No one respects that. And we need to do better by that. We need to find a way to elevate the people who are actually in the trenches. And that's not to say that Thomas, Dr. Thomas, or whoever who's the CEO doesn't deserve his position. He needs to surround himself with people who can help him in the trenches.
Right.
That's
Right.
it.
I mean, it just seems like I said, over and over again, we all see it. We all see how to fix it, but we're not invited to those tables. You're not
Right.
looking within. You're looking at spending millions of dollars on consultants with an MBA that have no clue what it's like to be in the system. They have
Yes.
no clue what it's like to work in a unit, a short-staffed unit, a unit where people are dying around you. Look what COVID did.
Mm.
Look at what happened there. So much broke. It's so fractured since then. And then you have the aftermath. You have us, myself included, long COVID and struggling with the health effects of dealing with that. But like Patricia said today, they didn't want her back at 50% after coming back from having COVID and dealing with long COVID. They didn't want her at 50%. If she couldn't be 100%, they didn't want her. You have a nurse with 20, 30, 40 some years of experience, and you won't take her as she is with everything that she knows and what she can bring to the table and educate those younger nurses, because that's the thing. They're so quick to get rid of us and to not give us those promotions, those managerial, those leadership promotions with the experience that we have because of our age, because of our maybe a health issue, maybe something that's happened that we've been out for a bit on disability and now we've come back. We've come back because we love this profession. We've come back because we have so much left to give. We have
Mm.
so much knowledge to bring. And you have these new nurses, you have these new OR techs, you have these new students in every single role across healthcare. There's someone new that's coming in, that's not done this yet, that looks to a mentor, that looks to the leader to teach them, to take them under their wings and to show them the ropes. Because, like you said, it only improves patient outcomes. It only improves patient safety. It only improves the viability of the people within the system. If they feel safe, they feel protected, they feel psychologically supported, it's it's an amazing, I mean, it's like watching a dead plant grow, right? If you water it, it grows. If you take
Mm.
care of it, it grows. If you don't do any of those things, it wilts up and it dies. That's what everybody's doing. Everybody's just wilting up and dying because they're not protected. They're not taken care of. They don't feel valued. They don't feel supported anymore. So being, the difference between a leader and a manager, managers most times than not, and this is just my experience, I'm not talking about all people, like to micromanage. They like to micromanage you and task you to death. Where
Yes.
a leader allows you to grow, allows
Yes.
you to flourish. They want you to grow. They want you to be better, and they want to help you get there. And I don't mean climbing the ladder. I don't mean title jumping. I mean just to grow personally, mentally, emotionally, to feel emotionally safe, to feel like you have some worth, like what you
Yeah.
have to say and what you bring matters. And
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
water it, it will grow. If you support it, it will grow.
Agreed. Agreed. And I couldn't have said it any better. If watching something grow, especially something that you're nurturing and that you're pouring into, and watching that grow and expand, it's like your children. Like the younger people behind me, when I get an opportunity to teach them, I teach them with honor, because I want them to grow and I want them to be successful. And that's what everything should be. Like everything in life should be. We should be mentored and taught, and then when we are mentee, when we're out there mentoring, we can teach in a productive way because we learned in a productive way. And that brings me to my last question for you. You know, everything you said, you wrapped it in such a nice bow. And I want you to finish it up with this question. And I know it's going to be impactful because it delves into your personal life in terms of how has working in healthcare affected you as a person? That's it. How has it affected you as a person, whether good or bad? Just tell me what is done because what's happened to you because you come through this system.
You're going to need longer than an hour.
Yeah, yeah. Keep it short. Yeah, you funny. I bet though, because it's a lot to it, probably. But we don't remember. We're gonna spin the block, and we're gonna do a lot of more shows together, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. So no worry, we're gonna because hey team, everybody out there in the world, she wanted me to do this show live, which I wasn't quite ready for, but she's encouraging me to do it live. So the next time you see her, and I wish we did because I'm starting to notice that some of the pictures, the screen is kind of distorted or whatever. So I apologize for that. But next time you see Kim, we're going to be doing live. So I'm excited. But again, I'm sorry to interrupt. She believes in me.
So I would have to say when the nurse became the patient, when I became the patient.
Mm.
So, so I got COVID and I got really sick, and it took 6 months of multiple falls, multiple injuries, multiple broken bones,
Gee.
for a doctor in the ER to finally listen to me. Because, during COVID, we didn't know what we were dealing with. It was scary, and, nobody had any idea, and it was so much chaos. But it was finding out that I had a brain tumor and having brain surgery and I'm deaf on the right side now, except for obnoxious tinnitus. I've lost my smile. You see, I have half a smile because of the Bell's
Mm,
palsy on the right side.
mm.
And I've had 5 eye surgeries. I mean, I've been through
Gee.
so much, and it was becoming the patient and being treated so poorly. And I felt like, oh my God, this is what my profession's come to, I was ashamed. I mean, there was visits I wouldn't even tell them I was a nurse. I would just sit and watch the fail after fail in my care, of my care, and thinking to myself, I'm a nurse. And I know that what they're doing is not right. And I know how I'm being treated is so wrong. How does someone coming in here, elderly or just anybody who has no medical background, has no knowledge, how are they being treated? How do they feel in this situation? And I just thought, oh my God, we can do so much better. We can do so much better. And it was going through all of that and meeting so many of you on LinkedIn that have really encouraged me and have given me the support. So I was in a really dark place, and if I get teary here, I was in a really dark place, and meeting the people that I had, in this space and on LinkedIn, and Ashley Scott, God love her.
Ashley.
Yeah, we both were in a bad place. She had a respiratory arrest after having a seizure at work, and she lost her career. So we both lost our identity. But it was the times during that process of being treated so poorly that we were just so ashamed of the profession and where it's come and where it needs to go and what's broken, because so much of it's broken, but it's not irreplaceable. It's not unfixable, because any foundation, any architecture, it can tear down, fall down, break down, and it can be rebuilt. It can be rebuilt. We just have to do it together. It's not going to be done by one person. It's not going to be done by, one system. It's going to be, someone has to step up and be the example. Someone has to
Mm.
step up and just take ownership, take accountability. I know this is broken. I know we can do better. I know we can fix it, and bring all those people to the table and say, okay, how can we do this? Let's do this together. Let's brainstorm. We're going to come within. We're not going outside the system. We are going to go within and bring our people in and surround everybody in solidarity and support. And how can we fix our family? How can we fix this system?
Yes.
Because that's
Wow.
where it starts. I mean, that's where it starts. So that's where my advocating and my voice has just, it's been healing for me. And when Ashley and I wrote, my first book, and she's four-time award-winning author now. She's amazing. But when we first wrote, the healthcare mafia, a nurse's testament, it was my story of COVID and my experiences, and talking to so many other people that had went through the pandemic and watched people die. And, when I woke up, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know if I was still me. I woke up to a room full of strangers, but it was, I had a conversation with Susan Lays the other day, and we were talking about what does it mean to be one of us. And, when I woke up and the surgeon was standing over me and, hi, da 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 da, do you know who you are? Do you know where you are? And he said something to the resident. He said, she's one of us. She's one of us. And that has just stuck with me, because
Mm.
I felt inclusive in my care. I felt
Yes.
included. I felt that I do have worth, that I do matter.
You
You
matter.
know,
You matter. Mm-hmm.
I mattered after having such a hard time and a hard road up until the day of that surgery. And to feel that I I I don't know, I was empowered that day. I felt that the loss that I felt before going through all of that up into that time of the disappointment in the profession and how I was treated, it really changed how I felt that day. How I felt that day. Of course, thereafter, a whole lot of stuff has happened and whatever,
Yeah, but I
but
think, like you said, that little microcosm of your macrocosm gave you a little hope, probably saying that there are still people out here that care a little bit. And they made me feel included. And especially as a patient, in future episodes, I'm going to have a couple of patients come on and talk about their experiences throughout their healthcare story. But it's essential, like, to feel heard and seen as a patient. So when you woke up to that, I'm glad that at least you got that. And again, I think a lot of the stuff that's happened to you is giving you the power, and it's going to give you the strength to move forward to get the things done that you want to get done, because your story it resonates, it's powerful, and like it's touched me. And like I said, from the first time I met you, from just your posts, they were so powerful. And now sitting here talking to you is the same deal. Like, I feel very honored to be in the same space with you talking about these things. So, you know, I'm sorry about all the things that you went through in your dark times. But again, it's going to give you the power. It's going to shine lights, and it's going to lead the way for a lot of people. So your story is needed. So the things that you went through, albeit we wish that we didn't have to go through all these suffering things and make other people's lives better. Some of us are called for a higher thing. So, what you've been through and all the downs that you've endured over the last few years since COVID and stuff like that, it's going to lead a lot of people out of the dark. So I take my hat off to you for even sharing your story, and for even fighting and losing opportunities and losing jobs because you have a voice. And we can't speak on that enough. That this woman has lost opportunity because she fought for other people. So I hope that anybody who's listening to this podcast, I hope that you realize that our voices matter, and if they start taking our voices away, then we're all doomed. So again, thank you for sharing your story with us, and thank you for shining lights on the dirt crevices that goes on inside of healthcare in terms of like advocacy and the fear of being an advocate and stuff like that, because it's important, and the only way we can grow is if people know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be, if I can say anything, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You
Mm.
have to have courage. And is there repercussions? Absolutely. But at the same time, think about who you're protecting, because the silence is loud, and
Oof.
you have to protect the people around you. And
Mm.
when you see something, you say something.
The
And to
silence
defend
is loud.
something, silence is loud, and you have to protect. You have to protect the protectors. And again, like you said, John, we only give better care when we're cared for.
Mm. Simple math. Simple math. But thank you so much for all of that. I don't want you to go nowhere. Stick around. I got one more question there from a follower about a previous podcast. We're gonna finish. I'm gonna answer that. We're gonna finish up, close out, and then in the future, again, remember everybody, we're gonna send the block because we got so much more to talk about. But okay. So the question from my follower was, John, you mentioned in a previous episode that you experienced a mental collapse while you were working at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. How have you recovered from that experience? And during that crisis, how did the institution help you navigate through it? Again, wow. It's always surprising that I get these questions because I don't even be thinking people paying attention to my podcast. And as I try to grow it, it's very inspiring. And to get these questions is just amazing to me. It's a good question. Um, so like I said in the previous episode, the collapse was over time. It wasn't immediate. And a lot of the problems with us in healthcare is we don't know how to ask for help. Even though I will be struggling at points, I will get better and say that I'm okay. And I say it all the time. These institutions, they do give you outlets. They give you numbers that you could call and all that stuff to get help. But a lot of us in our field, we don't know how to make those calls. We're givers, we're not takers. So it's very hard for me to make that call. So over time, I had lost my mother, then I lost my nephew, and when I was at CHOP, I had lost my mom, and I didn't deal with that in the right way because I ended up eventually leaving, and I was a traveler at the time. I left and I went to Children's National in DC, and then I came back as a traveler when I crashed and burned out at CHOP. Um, so what happened is I took some time off and I got the help that I needed because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was emotionally spent. And like I say, there's so many people out here in our field who are so tired and so mentally exhausted, but we don't take the time to pour into ourselves. And I always want to encourage guys to pour into yourselves because you're gonna die. You're not gonna make it. I almost didn't make it. So when I decided to finally that I had enough, I went and got the help. I took some time off. Unfortunately, at those times, I had other little businesses, so I was still making money and stuff like that along the way. But I didn't care. I had to care about myself. So, in terms of what the institution did for me when it was going on, so like I said, this was a workup too. Like I would be calling out, I would do certain things and stuff. And my boss, her name was Kat. She works Catherine, and she works at shop. She's great, and I remember she would call me. She called me in the office, and I was a traveler at this time, and I'd never forget that she offered me pamphlets and all these things through CHOP Healthcare, through CHOP program for me, even though I used to be permanent there, but at that time I wasn't permanent there. I was a traveler. And most institutions just don't care for travelers in that sense. She took the time out to sit me down to talk to me and say that she was there for me. And she would call me randomly. And even the time right before I left, we had talked and I told her that I was leaving and I needed to get the help to become a productive member of a team again because I wasn't pouring into myself. I was literally dying. So, as far as like how the institution helped me, I have no beef with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia CHOP. I have great friends there. I have so many mentors there, people that I love so much. And like I said, when I was going through those struggles, Kat pulled me to the side many times, like, and tried to get to the bottom of what was going on with me. But at those times, I didn't have the answers because, again, I was always thinking that I would be okay. So I couldn't say, yeah, I need help. Eventually, like I said, I had to face the fact that I needed the help. I went and got the help, but I take my hat off to her, the institution, for always supporting me and helping me to get to where I'm at today. Like I said, I don't have the same issues that I've had back then. I actually pour into myself. Understand that if you lose someone close to you, like your mother, your nephew, like I did, that you have to sit down. You have to sit down and mourn that stuff. So we need to focus more on mental health as a day to call out. Like if I don't feel well mentally, I call out. But to me, it's the same thing as a physical illness. In our culture, we feel like if you're not physically sick, then you shouldn't call out. That's nonsense. It's going to kill you. So to piggyback off of everything I just said, it's essential for you to care for yourself. If you have people on your team like I've had at CHOP who care for you, that's a bonus. But ultimately, she couldn't make the phone call for me. I had to do that. Put yourself first, grow, change the trajectory of your life, love yourself more than you love anything else. Selfishness is essential to growth. If you're pouring into everything and not yourself, you're not going to make it. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Kim, for joining me. I hope that you guys got a lot out of this episode. I know it ran a little long, but it's worth it. So again, piggyback off of everything Kim said, inclusion is essential. And to piggyback off what I said, mental health is important. So going forward, just try to be mindful of both those things. Kim, you want to finish up, Wilby?
Yeah, I just want to add, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say, I'm not okay, and you need help. It's okay. There's no shame in that. And
None.
self-care is so very important. And you can't heal the healers if you're not healed yourself. So
Yes.
I highly recommend people, actually, and I on the podcast with Dina on Sunday, we talked about writing and journaling, how writing is so healing. And
Mm-hmm.
writing has done so much for her and I, so much. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not journaling, if you're not writing it down, I suggest starting, because sometimes just writing it down and reading it back after I've had so many clients that tell me, oh my God, I didn't realize how much trauma I was carrying. I didn't realize how much anger I was carrying until I wrote it down. And now when
Powerful.
I'm reading it back to myself, I'm healing. I'm healing
Mm.
because I'm having a conversation with myself, but I'm also kind of a reflection. It's a reflection of, wow, I didn't know that I was carrying so much, and now I do. And now I know that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say I'm not okay. And there's so many resources out there to help guide you and to help support you. And again, look to your left, look to your right. They're right beside you because so many are going through the same thing. So many are
Yeah.
suffering the same battles that they don't talk
Yeah.
about. But
Yes.
again, just acknowledging and feeling okay to say that. And we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard. But there's some of those that are afraid to be seen and afraid to be heard. So just pay
Absolutely.
attention. Just pay attention. If you see somebody who's just a little off, something's just not right, be curious. Be curious. It doesn't have to be public. You can catch them on the side and just be, hey, are you okay?
Yes.
I noticed you were a little off today,
Yes.
or, you don't want to, some people take that offensively, like, no, no, I'm fine, I'm just fine.
Hmm.
But you're like, okay, okay. But
But they'll
I,
know that
I
you
just
care.
noticed, I just,
Yes.
just noticed, and I just wanted you to know that I care, and I'm here if you want to talk. I'm here. I'm here. Just say it. I'm here for you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. That's powerful, and I agree with that completely. And it's important to just to show love to people that you see that's a little bit off, because that might be the little thing that get them through it. And we have to be advocates for each other. We're all connected. We need to stop with this separation nonsense. We're all connected, and we all have an opportunity to be impactful to each other. So with that being said, again, thank you for joining me. And team, next week episode will be a solo affair, as I'll be taking us back down memory lane. I'll be reflecting on my journey and the lessons that I've learned, and some of the dark places that I've been through, so I could shine a little light and maybe give somebody else some hope who's also currently or still suffering through the traumas of playing in the dark for so long. So until then, let's keep it savvy, okay? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you. I can't wait to spend the block with you again, so we can do this again and delve into more of what you're passionate about. Okay.
Of course, of course. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today, and I love this conversation. It was definitely healing, I think, for both of us today. So thank you.
Very,
Thank you.
very enlightening. Very beautiful. We'll talk soon.
Okay, talk soon.
Bye
Bye.
bye.